in case you're new here. And today we're going to do part 3 of my series on how to grow large and beautiful hostas in your own backyard. Our focus will be on fertilizing your hostas after you have planted them throughout the summer. And also, what do I do when there's a hailstorm and I have terrible hail damage to my hostas? What is next for them? So let's go ahead and get out into the garden and talk about some of these issues. Let's talk about fertilizing our hostas. So in my first hosta video, I mentioned that I use Milorganite in order to fertilize my hostas early in the season. And I do have a bag of Milorganite right here. It's quite large and heavy. See if I can get it up here for you to see. And I had so many questions about Milorganite, particularly that it is known as poop in a bag. And that's because it is produced at the Milwaukee water treatment plant and they use human waste. Now, in order to clarify that, I wanted to read to you a statement from their website in order to ease your worries about it, as it might be unsafe or spread germs. So let me read you this statement. I think you'll find it very reassuring. So here's how it works. Wastewater, from homes enters the water reclamation facility, it's called, and all the solid materials are first removed. That's they mean by that things like plastic or paper. Then microbes are added to the water and oxygen is bubbled through that water to create the ideal environment for the microbes to digest all the nutrients in the water. Now, the microbes die after they consume all of those nutrients, and then agents are added to the water, causing everything to clump together, and then it settles to the bottom as a sedimentation. After everything has settled, the clean water is returned to Lake Michigan, and the microbe clumps are sent on for dewatering and drying. Now, the moisture is squeezed out of those clumps and they are heated to from 900 to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. And then this extreme heat kills any germs, any pathogens. So it has all the safety guidelines used for protecting human health and the environment. So after it passed all of these required tests, then it is packaged and shipped throughout the United States for sale. And as I said, I usually buy my Milorganite at Walmart, and you can find it because it is sold as a lawn fertilizer primarily. You will find it in any store with the Scott's fertilizer and other brands for lawns. Okay, so that's how you find it. And I hope that heating process and the passing of all safety tests makes you feel reassured about the safety of Milorganite. Now, how do we apply Milorganite? Let me grab my bag here really quick. I use a really large cup like this, and Milorganite, because it is very high in nitrogen, it does quite well in the early spring. It is so safe that you can use your bare hands. To give you a look, just looks like little dark gray granules, and you can literally take it and just broadcast it, fling it out over all of your hostas. Now, when do I add this to fertilize my hostas in the spring? Go out into your garden and assess the state of your hostas. So when you see the first little nubs peeking out of the soil, and I'll put a picture right here so you can see what those nubs will look like in case you haven't planted hostas before. They almost look like little fingers or nubs peeking out of the soil. When you first see them, even if they're small, coming up, and that's determined by the temperature of the soil. When the soil gets warm enough, which is normally around 50 degrees, that's when you'll see those little nubs starting to emerge. Anyway, at that point, you take the Milorganite and you just cast it out over the little nubs. Just cast it out and then be sure to water it in. Water it in well, because the water helps it, go down into the roots, the nutrients from the Milorganite. And you must remember, because Milorganite is organic, it is a slow release product, and it will do its work for at least a month after you apply the Milorganite. Long-term use for the roots of your plant. Remember, in this case, we're mainly fertilizing the roots, and we want that Milorganite to go down. And if you want to come out and water it a week later, give it another watering. That'll help your hostas along as well, because we know hostas love water. After 2 weeks, go back out and check your hostas and see how far the little nubs have risen, and also go around and check where you have hostas planted, because some hostas come out and start emerging earlier than other varieties. So you might miss some the first time. But in any case, go out 2 weeks later and go out and cast another application of the Milorganite onto the nubs. Water it in again. Water is very critical. And then you're done with Milorganite for the season. Your next step is to wait until those leaves begin to unfurl. So they go from being the little nubs to growing taller and taller, and then the leaves start opening up and unfurling in all of their beauty. As you go around your garden and check your plants, you'll see hostas in different stages of growth. When you see the leaves unfurling, and we'll put a picture here, what you should look for, they've all opened up. That is the time to break out the Miracle Grow, and you want to buy the Miracle Grow that is specifically for tomatoes. You see the tomato on the picture here. Be very careful you purchase the correct Miracle Grow. You don't want the all-purpose plant food. You want the tomato specifically. Why do we want tomato? Because this variety of Miracle Grow contains magnesium. Now, why is magnesium important? Magnesium enables your hosta to make use of that nitrogen that you applied with the Milorganite earlier in the season. So you want your hosta to be able to make use of that wonderful nitrogen by adding this product with magnesium. That is the little secret about the tomato version of the Miracle Grow. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can apply the Miracle Grow. One is if you don't have too many hostas in your yard, just a few, and I don't have tons of them like some people have huge collections. I use a watering can. Now, my watering can is a 2-gallon watering can, and the directions on the Miracle Grow say to use 1 tablespoon for each gallon of water. So in my watering can, I put in 2 tablespoons of the Miracle Grow, and I, fill it up, and I kind of stir it up so the Miracle Grow dissolves and is distributed in the water, because this is a water-soluble product. And I have a big wooden sort of piece that I stir up my big watering can with. And I'll show you here, this is how you water. Now, guys, Miracle Grow is a foliar feeder. What does that mean? Foliar refers to the foliage on your hosta. And so what the hostas do is they take in the nutrients through their leaves, through the foliage. So you're not going to be focusing on watering the ground underneath. You're just going to be focusing on watering the leaves, getting them really wet, just really wet. And you will see a tremendous difference. And as I'm showing you in the video, you will see a tremendous difference after you apply this to your hostas. If you want your hostas to grow to their maximum size, this is the way to make it happen, using the Miracle Grow tomato food. So that's one way, and the way I do it with my watering can. Now on the other hand, Miracle Grow sells these feeder gadgets that attach to your hose here, and you can dump in a whole package of this Miracle Grow tomato food into this container. Attach it to your hose. If you have many hostas, a very large collection, you can use your garden hose and just walk around your garden on your large collection of hostas and just spray well each one of your hostas, focusing on the leaves, since this is a foliar feeder, getting them very wet. And always, guys, make sure you do this feeding at a time when you're not expecting rain. So like, don't do it in the afternoon when you know there's going to be an evening rainstorm, because that will wash off the product and your plant won't, get the benefit of having it on the leaves and utilizing it to use that nitrogen, the magnesium in the Miracle Grow, to use that nitrogen to grow those huge leaves that we all want if we love our hostas. And you will be able to see your hostas growing to the full size that they say they will. If they're supposed to grow to be 5 feet wide, with the use of this Miracle Grow, you will see a tremendous amount of growth. And don't forget, you have to be a little patient. Hostas normally do not grow to their full size for 4 to 7 years. But by applying fertilizer, watering them well and every day to make sure they're getting all the water they need to grow to their full size as well, you can, in 4 years, especially with the use of this Miracle Grow, you can actually see that huge growth on those giant hostas, or even on the larger sized hostas that should be at least 2 feet wide. You will see the effects of proper fertilization. Let's talk hail damage. Here is my Summon Substance hosta, which, as you can see, was shredded pretty badly by our last hailstorm. And this was not a hailstorm with, a large amount of, well, we had a lot of hail, but the hail was, I would say, about penny sized. And as you can see, this happened a couple of weeks ago, and I have not cut off the leaves to this hosta. Lots of people are very tempted to right away trim back the hosta and get rid of the ugly looking shredded leaves. But research has shown that leaving those leaves on, especially later in the season, it's July right now, and this hosta needs the remaining leaves to produce, with photosynthesis, enough food and energy for the roots, because that will affect the size of the hosta in the next year. So I wanted to leave the leaves on as long as possible for that reason. I want that energy to go to the roots So I have a nice, big, beautiful hosta next season. Now, if you have a hailstorm early in the season when you don't have many leaves or they're quite small and they are shredded like this, you can go ahead and cut them off because the hosta has plenty of time through the summer to grow more leaves and, create the energy it will need for the following season. So early in the season, it is okay to trim off your damaged leaves. But later in the season, like here we are in July, no. It is recommended that you keep them on as long as possible. And, we'll come over here. You can see this hosta, which is not quite as bad. And oh my gosh, this hosta is one of my favorites. It's so pretty. And you can see the leaves are cracked and damaged, and they actually look like they have bullet holes through some of them. But again, I'm not trimming them back. I'm allowing them to photosynthesize energy for my hosta for next summer. So although it's really heartbreaking to see your hostas so badly damaged, in such bad shape, we always can look forward to the next summer because, as you know, hostas are perennials and they will come back, and we want them to come back large and healthy. And this is how you can help that along for the next summer. I'm back one last time to tell you one last bit of information about fertilizing, and that is to stop with the Miracle-Gro tomato food at the end of July. Now, why is this? Because at that time of the summer when things are winding down, your hostas are going to be getting ready for winter and sleeping throughout the winter, basically going dormant. So if you stop that fertilizing at that point, now your plant can go through that process of preparing for winter. And then they will be ready for the next spring, looking beautiful and wonderful once more.